Powers 3, Truth and Consequences, by Rob Harper. Chapter 2.
The wild truck pulls in front of a dive/biker bar in a very dingy part of the city, and yet Crimson's spirits didn't falter a bit. There's an old saying among her mates, back home, that no harm was ever come from being in a bar. The logic of it was spurious at best, but she lived by the words nonetheless. The Truth looks much more grave as he enters what to him is the den of all inequity. What place could be worse for liars than a seedy bar? The incompatible pair walked into the place, and like a bad joke, bellied up to the bar.
Can I get a pint, barkeep?
The bartender just looks at her, and she expects to be carded, and thus lose her chance at some libations. But he eventually just asks her in his rough city accent, "What's a pint?" Crimson stares at the barkeep agog, but eventually explains that it's a beer, so big, holding her hands a pint height away from each other, and the bartender goes and fills a large mug with what these Yanks call beer. She would have laughed out loud, but another drinking rule is never piss off the man bringing the drinks. The Truth is about to say something about her drinking underage, but then decides he really doesn't care, and goes back to scanning the patrons for their target. The Psi Corps created a composite of the guy they were looking for, but so far no one has met the description. Then again, to the Truth's eye, one biker looks pretty much like the rest. Crimson looks over at the Truth, who keeps glancing at the picture in his hand, then looking around. She just shakes her head thinking how conspicuous he looks. If the bikers weren't already suspicious of a young English redhead and a scruffy trenchcoat-wearing loser, then they definitely were hearing alarm bells now. Crimson elbows the Truth, and he turns to yell at her.
Hey, what was that for?
Just thought you might like to know that the big guy in the corner is going to get up soon and knock you out.
The biker gets up and heads right for the Truth.
What are you, a cop?
We're not the police. We're just looking for this man.
The Truth shows the biker the picture.
You wouldn't happen to know him, would you?
Crimson looks at the biker and doesn't need psychic powers to know what he plans to do next.
You really don't want to hurt us.
The Truth asks a probing question to try and read the biker's intentions.
Yes, I do.
I guess you do. Crimson, take him out.
The Truth rarely resorts to violence. Being a pacifist, he would never try and hit someone himself, but he definitely doesn't have a problem asking someone else to do the dirty work for him. That is why he has backup on this mission in the first place. Sure, it wasn't supposed to be Crimson here, but she'd do in a pinch. She was Sykes and Prometheus' daughter, after all.
What? What does that mean?
Crimson puts down her mug and just looks at the Truth. The biker takes a swing at the Truth, who barely ducks out of the way.
Crimson, hurry!
The Truth's voice starts to show concern as Crimson continues to just look at him dumbfounded.
Who do I look like? Bloody lupine?
Crimson can't believe he wants her to fight for him. The Truth ducks a few more punches and trips over a stool, landing on his butt on the rough bar floor. He's beginning to realize why he didn't want Crimson on this mission in the first place.
Use your powers, you stupid!
Don't you dare finish that sentence, you wanker!
The biker looms over the Truth, getting ready to stomp the smaller man into oblivion, when a psi blast knocks him spinning away. Crimson just looks at the Truth, who's still on the floor, and shakes her head. She's interrupted in her gloating over the prone Truth by a group of bikers who have taken exception to her knocking out their buddy.
You'll pay for that, witch!
One of them swings at her with a pool cue. Crimson dodges away and side blasts her attacker, while still more toss tables aside to get to her. The Truth regains his feet, just in time to dodge a few pool balls thrown from the rear of the oncoming biker mob. He quickly runs further away to get a better perspective on the battle. Crimson tries to keep the bikers at bay with her psi powers, but is slowly being pushed back towards the Truth. The Truth and Crimson, now side by side, make their way around the bar to keep the bikers back a bit. Crimson tries to subdue the more dangerous-looking ones. Her powers are reaching their limits, when suddenly a few of the bikers at the rear decide they better deal with the two powers permanently and draw their guns. The two betas duck behind the bar, but it is only a matter of time before they are in real trouble.
Don't just lay there. Help me out here. I can't stop bullets.
Crimson is losing her calm sarcasm and going into yell mode.
You were supposed to be the muscle.
Muscle? I'm supposed to go to my advanced fighting class in London next week. I'm nobody's muscle.
Oh, great. Who's going to be training you?
I know you're a Sunday school teacher, but this is no time to discuss curriculum.
Crimson retorts, stunned he'd ask her who's teaching her to fight. Not that he's allowed to know anyways.
Why are you blocking me? What don't you want me to know?
The Truth looks at Crimson deeply, trying to scan her. She had dropped her shields earlier, but now they shot back up.
Aw, forget this.
Crimson has had enough of his prying. She jumps up, and the Truth is staggered by her seemingly suicidal actions. She then jumps over the bar and begins to charge towards the also astonished bikers. The bikers regain their senses quickly, and just as it looks like she's about to get blasted by a large amount of small arms fire, someone yells stop. The bikers do stop, and turn towards the bar entrance. Crimson lands, ready to go down fighting, only to see a tall, handsome biker standing in the doorway. There are a few others standing behind him. The original bikers lower their guns and listen to this new guy.
Why are you here?
She's about to say something saucy when the Truth steps in. Crimson almost clocks him for interrupting her conversation with the hunk, but decides to play it cool instead.
You must be the man we're looking for.
The Truth regains control and steps out from behind the bar, offering the new biker leader his hand. The tall man takes his hand and smiles at Crimson as she rushes to shake his hand too.
My name's Wrath. We're wanted by the cops and the crooks. Who knew when you try and take back the streets from the criminal elements, the cops would get so antsy? It's probably because we're cutting into their kickback money.
Wrath smiles and his fellow bikers laugh in agreement.
So you're the good guys.
Crimson is acting like a schoolgirl around Wrath, but she just can't help it. It's funny how fast intelligent girls become mindless bimbos around handsome guys. The Truth just looks at Crimson with disdain.
We were sent to see if he wanted to come to the Wildebeest Foundation to study.
Thanks for the offer, but I'm needed down here. After that fiasco with Warp, the amount of bad guys down here has tripled. It seems not all of his minions has turned over a new leaf like he asked them to.
The Truth slightly winces at the mention of his grandfather and all the trouble his cousin caused, but he hides his anger and resentment well.
I knew you'd say that. Well, it looks like our job is done here. Sorry about the mess. Just build the Wildebeest Foundation. Let's go, Crimson.
What? We're not even going to stay for a point or two with our new friend here? Well, that's just rude.
Crimson hates the Truth even more now. The Truth just looks at her and heads out the door to the waiting wild truck.
I'm sorry for my friend. He's a chronic loser.
Crimson looks up at Wrath, who is smiling at her.
No problem. I understand how boyfriends can be. Come back any time, though.
A boyfriend? He's not my... Ew.
Crimson is so disgusted she doesn't even say goodbye. She stomps outside and gets into the wild truck.
So, who are you going to see in London, Crimson?
Sod off.
They drive off and Crimson gives one last look at the bar, and then at Truth. She whispers wanker under her breath and goes back to singing classic pop songs in her head, all the way back to the Foundation. The two finally make it back to the Foundation and Professor Wildebeest walks out to meet them.
So, how did the mission go? I see you came back empty-handed.
Crimson just gives him a look. That tells him everything as she huffs past into the Foundation.
He wasn't interested. I'll give you a full report in the morning. Oh, and the Professor, next time I want to continue a mission without the proper people, shoot me.
The Truth too walks past the Professor and to bed. Wildebeest just laughs and goes back to his studies. Later that week, Crimson is getting to a cab for the airport. It's time for her to head back to England to finish her studies. Just the advanced combat course left, and she'll have graduated. Professor Wildebeest is there to see her off. She gives the Professor a hug.
Don't worry, Professor. I'll be back soon enough.
I can't wait.
Oh, and just one more thing. I never want to work with the Truth again.
With that, she shuts the cab door and is gone. Wildebeest turns back smiling and heads into the Foundation. Inside, the Truth is standing there.
The feeling is mutual.
The Truth walks away and Wildebeest just shakes his head.
Oh, kids.
The end?
So, Rob,
Yes, Jack?
have you heard of something called Finland Old Time Radio?
No, I haven't.
Well, you should. And how would you be able to tell your friends and family about such an excellent radio program?
I have no idea.
By wearing swag. Swag that has the logo, has the name, prominently displayed, very, very nice looking apparel.
Where'd you get this swag?
Where would you find that swag?
Well, if I was setting up a website,
And you
it'd be
did?
Cafe Press because it's easy. So it'd be cafepress.com// Vinland Old Time Radio.
we could say slash, but I think you might enunciate a little bit better and give us that website one more time, champ.
cafepress.com// Vinland Old Time Radio.
Buy some of the apparel, the knickknacks, the accoutrement, if you will.
Patty wax.
Patty wax. I don't know what that means. But accoutrement is an appropriate use of that word. So
Knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone, Jack. We're the dogs, give us the bone.
who let the dogs out? Oof, oof, oof. Okay, no.
That's not a good ad, no.
No.
cafepress.com// Vinland Old Time Radio.